Hey, Banjo again with another Lick of the Week video. I've been thinking about some topics to go over since it's been a fairly long time since I've had a chance to do any videos. But from talking to students over the last few months and other professional players and teachers who have students and what I read on forums like the Banjo Hangout, this seemed to be a topic that could be useful to some people, and hopefully it will be. And it's, as far as topic goes, it's how to quantify what your real speed is. And what do I mean by that? A lot of times I'll hear students or people on forums, especially people who haven't been playing that long or who maybe don't understand exactly the difference between common and cut time, how to quantify their rolls. So they will state that they're playing, say, Foggy Mountain Breakdown at 300 beats a minute. And usually what that means is they're playing eighth note rolls in common time. And I won't get into a big discussion here about the differences between common and cut, except to say 4 beats in common time and 2 beat measures in cut. You'd play 8 notes as a roll, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you'd play 8 notes over 4 beats versus 16th notes. So if you set a metronome, a drum program, some kind of thing to quantify, to express to yourself and others how fast you're playing a piece of music or a roll, it's a common error for people to state really high tempos when they're actually playing half as many notes. Because cut time, which is a lot of bluegrass that we know, it's written in that timing signature. So the tempo of cut time, 1 2 1 2 1 2, it kind of feels faster. You have to put twice as many notes. So if I were to play a piece of music or a roll, heck, I'll just do a roll. I'll use my metronome here. I have my iPad with a digital metronome. I'm going to set my tempo marking at 100. This is easier to hear than it is to talk about. So I could say, oh, I'm able to play a 5-3-1 roll in cut time at 100 beats a minute. But here's the error that people say. They'll go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And see, they'll say, oh, I'm playing this roll from this particular record at 100 beats a minute. I have no problem playing 5-3-1 at 100. But when I listen to them play it, I'll count eighth notes. I'll go, oh, wait a minute, you're playing eighth note rolls. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And if I'm listening to a classic recording and that's what they're trying to play from, I'll say, wait a minute, this so-and-so player is actually playing in cut time. And they're like, so what does that mean, John? Well, that means they're doing this. Not this. See, at the same tempo marking, and see, the tempo has nothing to do with this. What makes this feel so much faster is the number of notes I'm playing. So if I'm playing in cut time at 100, it's going to feel completely different. It's going to be more compressed, faster sounding and feeling, because my right hand is supplying all that phonetic energy. That's where all that speed is coming from. The tempo is just 100. So again, the confusing thing is you'll have players that haven't been playing that long or who maybe don't quite understand this. They'll state that they're playing, Foggy Mountain Breakdown at 200 beats a minute when they're actually playing it at 100. They're playing half as many notes. And that's an important distinction because it's, technically speaking, a much greater skill set required to switch from that at 100 to. And again, most of these faster songs, a lot of bluegrass songs written in cut time. So Foggy Mountain Breakdown, which is a pretty jumping song, pretty quick song, might be listed at 140. Blackjack, which is smoking fast, J.D. Crowe might be 170. Lonesome Road Blues might be 120, Dear Old Dixie might be 135, whatever. You can research these numbers. What you won't see is super high tempo numbers. So in order to take an eighth note roll and make it feel like this, instead of 8, I would have to double the tempo. I would have to go to 200 beats on my metronome to make 8 notes feel like 16 do at 100. So you have, when you see these really ridiculously high numbers, that's people quantifying something as common time. And you might go, well, that's just semantics, John. What does it matter? It does matter. Trust me, it does. So what you need to get in the habit of is making sure you're quantifying your rolls correctly. 100 beats a minute at common time feels completely relaxed compared to cut time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And this is really important when you're trying to play these classic songs. So if I wanted to play old, I was going to say Old Dangerfield, but no. If I was going to play Foggy Mountain Breakdown at 100 beats a minute in cut time, which is the way it was originally recorded, I would have to play 16 notes as a roll pattern in the same space I would have played common time. So playing Foggy Mountain Breakdown at 100 beats a minute, which is what this is going, in common time would sound like this. Sounds okay, right? But that's common time, eighth note rolls. If Earl had recorded that at 100, which he didn't, like I said, it's like more like 140 something. If he had recorded that at 100, it would sound like this, because in common time there's eighth notes. In cut time, because you're cutting things into 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and you'd have twice as many notes. Trying to play a little lighter so I don't overpower the metronome. So again, eighth notes at 100 sounds completely different. It feels completely different as 16ths. And all these classic recordings, again, are not listed in publications. You know, when you look up the speed of blackjack, it would probably be listed at 170, not 340. Foggy Mountain Breakdown would be 145, you know, not 290. So you wouldn't see everything double. That would be if you were playing eighth notes as rolls. And it's important to quantify the difference, because again, a lot of this misunderstanding comes from people using a metronome, a drum machine, or some kind of software, and what they're counting is a lot of times common time rolls, eighth notes. So the speed, what feels like, you know, that driving speed is not coming from the metronome, it's coming from your right hand, your left hand, doing twice as many things in the same amount of time you would have done in the other timing signature. So I could stop and I could go to, I don't know, let's go to 120. This is a touch screen, so I can get it to do that. So here's 120, and again, if I do a roll, 5, 3, 1, that's eighth notes again. This is thinking in common time terms. But again, if we were doing a scruggs roll in cut time, big difference. Common time at 100, cut time at 100. And you can feel that push, that drive, that speed. The speed is not coming from the metronome. The speed is, or the feeling of increased speed is coming from more notes in the same space. You're compressing the space between the notes. Now, Foggy Mountain Breakdown, you might not think is too hard at 120. It's not if you play it as eighths. It's really not that much harder than it was a few seconds ago playing at 100. But now if you play it like Earl in cut time, much different, much harder to play, and to control the dynamics and your syncopation, blah, blah, blah. Cover all the T's, you know. And once you start getting up to, say, 140, I'll go up to 140. I don't know if I'll be able to play it at 140 because I haven't played much in the last couple of days. I haven't had any gigs, and the weekend I don't have any students. So I'm going to see if I can get, this is a touch screen. I'm going to go to 140. My touch screen's not cooperating for some reason. It's kind of slow today. Well, it's not moving at all. think it wants to go from 120 to 180. We're not going to do that. Okay, here we go. Finally. Here's 140 beats a minute or so. 141, 140. See if I can get it to stop. There it is. Success. This is Foggy Mountain Breakdown at 140. Again, I'll start off in common time at 140 and then switch gears. And again, the increase in the energy level and everything is going to come from here, not the metronome. Blah, blah, blah. So there's eighth notes at 140. Huge difference when you hear 16th notes cut time, same tempo. Big difference, and I can tell for myself because I'm not warmed up and I haven't been playing much over the last 2 or 3 days. I would need to warm up, play after 20-30 minutes of picking the banjo. I could probably play at 140 a lot better than I just showed there. So make sure you're getting your timing signature correct. Remember that the increase in that drive, that push, that feel is not a metronomic setting. It's the type of rolls you're playing. So again, most of these faster songs are played in cut time, which means you're playing twice as many notes. So you can set the metronome at something reasonable like 100 and try to practice eighth note rolls at 100 and then switch to 16, and you'll immediately know what we're talking about in the video. And then you'll be able to more accurately quantify, and as your progress goes, what speeds you're playing. And you won't have to keep thinking that you're playing at these ridiculously high number of BPMs. You're actually playing at lower BPM numbers, but playing twice as many notes here. So hopefully this will clear some things up. I don't know, might make it worse, but hopefully not. But just count out, like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then 1 and 2 and 3 and then double the number of notes. You can do it a myriad of different ways, but main thing is get in your head: are you playing eighth notes at 100 beats a minute, for example, or are you playing 16th notes at 100 beats a minute? Because that would be the difference between common time and cut time. And then you'll be actually showing yourself a true representation of where you're at in regards to your roll quality and the speed quality. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.